New Brighton has seen some remarkable changes throughout the decades. In its heyday, New Brighton was a seaside leisure resort that saw hundreds of thousands of visitors and holiday makers. We used to have a pier, an outdoor swimming baths, 8 theatres, the New Brighton Tower and Ballroom, and a thriving economy of local businesses, art, culture and music. But sadly, the onset of cheap package holidays in the 70s and 80s, and a series of disasters and lack of investment, caused the area to decline in the latter half of the 20th century. At St James's Church, there's a small group of dedicated volunteers who've been building an archive of historical artefacts to do with the local area.
I'm Shirley. The New Brighton Heritage and Information Centre is a registered charity, so I am a trustee and I also volunteer here during the week.
I'm Terry Irving.
Jeff Seddon, my name is, and I'm a volunteer for the Heritage Group.
Basically, we wanted to tell the history of New Brighton, how it's changed over the years, and we set it up. We started off in Victoria Road, a shop in Victoria Road, and then we came here.
What we're trying to do here is to actually kind of preserve the memories, because obviously as people get older, information needs to be passed on to the next generation, and we're beginning to be asked, did New Brighton really have a tower? And you're just thinking, yes, it did.
I'm Kenneth Clark, and my history dates back quite a long way. I would say in the early parts of childhood, I used to build a lot of models at a model railway. Later on, I expanded the railway and started making buildings and that sort of thing. The tower was a little bit awkward because there was, at the time, the only place you could get any information, and my father was involved as well with me, was to go to the library, the reference library. And fortunately there, they had quite a lot of photographs which we could copy. But there was some difficult thing about the colour of the top of the tower. And funny enough, my father actually knew someone in a nursing home, a chap, who had actually been on the demolition crew of the tower. And he said to my father, yes, I remember it. It was battleship grey, the entire tower. The very top was white. So on these black and white pictures you can tell which is which colour. I do know of the one that was in the Heritage Centre of the railway, Tommy Mann's Railway. I was very impressed with this, very impressed.
It's trying to kind of like be custodians of past history, but also history is happening every day.
I mean, at the moment, the church has got the guide dogs for the blind, and of course they started in New Brighton. Somebody called Muriel Crook, who started it all off in the early days, and it developed into the guide dogs for the blind. So that's a story that we tell.
Well, at the moment, we're open at the pavilion, the tennis court end of Marine Park Gardens, which not many people know about. They know of Vale Park and they know of Central Park. We still provide information free of charge. We have at the moment a display with regards to Muriel Crook, who was the founder of the training for guide dogs, which is now Guide Dogs for the Blind. So we have some of her paintings, because she was an artist, although more of her work was known as the training of guide dogs.
The name is John Lindley, and it's quite remarkable because when we're out fundraising, all the kids know guide dogs started in Wallasey, but it seems as though it must be something they're told at school, but they all know about it. I think Muriel Cook was the dog breeder, and Mrs. Bond was the trainer. You actually need to train them in an urban environment. So at that point they said, we'll do it in Wallasey, which is where they live. They started off based in a series of lockups and garages, and the first 4 dogs came out, all mentioned in here by the way, and that was 1931, and this is the 90th anniversary of that.
St James's Church have been having sessions with youngsters, young children, and they look round and they're amazed, and the teachers are then trying to explain the context of what they're actually looking at. But very often we get the older generation who can remember going to the ballroom, can remember the people that they then married from the ballroom. So there's still quite a lot of memories around.
My name's Larry Clow, and I'm 80 last year. There's me, my dad, my sister, and New Brighton Pier. Would be the late 50s. Look about 8 or 9 there, don't I? It's a photograph, 1955, taken from the promenade by the fairground, looking towards the Petrock, and you can't see the beach for people. It's 1955. It's in the Echo. And that's how it was, chock-a-block.
Lived in New Brighton most of my life, and one thing and another, and I've seen it sort of it sort of decayed a bit, and there was stuff that was taken away, like swimming pool, pier, stuff like that, and now people want it back.
See, they had a storm in 1990, and that ruined the bath. That was the decline. The bath was damaged that much. They reckon it was too expensive to repair, so it never reopened in the 1990 season. So the last season was 1989. The baths, that was it.
So I think where we have now are quite a few of independent traders who've been here through thick and thin, and they either live here or they are committed to here. And I think there's going to be in the future, if not now, certainly a lot more personal investment, whereby they are keen to actually continue New Brighton to be a resort. I think initially we will probably remain a day visitor resort, but hopefully within the next few years we may have a better quality hotel and provision that would maybe attract people for weekends or longer time.
Yeah, on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock, I start off in Victoria Road and do a sort of circular tour and tell people about what used to be there and little, quirky little facts about the area.
We have a visitors book, and it's surprising. People come for various things. We've had people from Canada, Australia, trying to think back what generations actually started here. So we have done kind of heritage research to try and track the families. We've had people who had relatives at the fort during the wartime days, and again we've been trying to find history from the fort as to kind of what battalions were here or how it worked.
Well, I think anybody that's have an interest in local history or New Brighton is ideal, and also it's not particularly strenuous or anything. It's quite easy going. Just be there to chat to people, really. You don't have to have a great knowledge. It's all here.
I think it's people who are outgoing are quite prepared to learn, if they don't already know, is learn some of the history of New Brighton. Be okay talking to strangers, feel comfortable and relaxed to be able to promote with enthusiasm what we do. But also people who are good at organising, because we always have more material than we can display. So trying to keep it in order and organised is really useful. Our volunteers are all around the same age range. So obviously there's been ill health personally to the volunteers, but also volunteers' families. which means that now that we're almost through COVID, that we can't open as often as what we would do. So we really want to use part of this promotional video to recruit volunteers, particularly for Saturdays. Volunteers are never here on their own. We are fully insured, and it's just that we do need more people. Spread the word.